this is your story.
For some of us, passion and love can feel almost identical. Sometimes they overlap so much that we don't even realize which one we're actually chasing. Yet, a passion-based relationship and a love-based relationship function very differently, both in terms of emotional depth and long-term fulfillment. And if what you're truly looking for is love, holding on to a passion-based connection just because the chemistry is strong can wear you down. Passion lives in the moment. Love, on the other hand, is committed to the journey. Passion wraps around you. Love carries you forward. The person in front of you might present passion as if it were love, just to keep you around. They might even mimic emotional depth to win you over. But in truth, that performance is not driven by feeling. It's guided by strategy. In this video, we'll talk about how to recognize the difference. And more importantly, we'll explore how seeing that difference can bring you a whole new kind of freedom. 1. Real emotion has no schedule. The psychology of unexpected messages. Many women still evaluate the health of a relationship based on whether they receive good morning and good night texts. While that might seem thoughtful at first, over time, these messages can become part of a predictable routine. And when timing becomes more important than the message itself, that's a red flag. Because genuine emotion flows naturally, it doesn't follow a schedule. In a man's world, this kind of routine is often called putting the relationship on autopilot. He might think, I'm doing my part. A good morning, babe, at 7:15 a.m. sharp. A good night. Sweetheart, at exactly 11:45 p.m., the timing never changes. At first it might feel consistent, even comforting, but eventually it can start to drain the relationship of emotional depth. These texts stop being spontaneous expressions of affection and turn into obligations. But when a man texts you at a completely unexpected moment, something different is happening, okay? During his lunch break, in the middle of a busy day, or late at night, and the message says, you suddenly crossed my mind. I miss your scent. I thought of you while having coffee. Then pay attention. That message isn't a programmed routine, right? It's the rise of a real feeling. He wrote it because he felt it, not because he had to. You've started to take up space in his inner world. Clinical psychologist Dr. Sue Johnson says emotional bonds are built on secure foundations and strengthened through spontaneous connection. Unprompted expressions are some of the clearest signs of genuine intimacy. These moments say, I'm thinking of you, and I don't need a reason to tell you that. It's important to make this distinction. These messages are not sexually charged. They are emotionally focused. I miss you. I've been wondering what your day's like. I was thinking about your smile. Simple sentences, but they revealed something powerful. He no longer sees you as just attractive. He's becoming emotionally attached. As emotional intensity grows, so does the need for spontaneous connection. When someone reaches out to you the moment they think of you, it means they've started to weave you into the natural rhythm of their life. And slowly but surely, they are falling in love. 2, he invests in connection, not just physical intimacy. A man who is truly beginning to fall in love may desire you, but he doesn't feel the need to control or rush that desire. That's because for him, the emotional bond is starting to take precedence, especially early in the relationship. Physical closeness is not his top priority. What matters more is understanding you emotionally and building a connection rooted in trust and meaning. This kind of man does not pressure you. He doesn't push directly or indirectly. You won't hear subtle manipulations disguised as casual suggestions, like, come over, let's watch a movie, or let's grab a coffee. But at my place, or I really want to show you my collection, okay? These might seem harmless on the surface, but when driven by ulterior motives, they're forms of pressure, and he simply doesn't go there. Because your comfort is the foundation of the bond he's trying to build. At this point, something shifts. He no longer sees you as just a body. He begins to see you as a person of value. And when that recognition hits, something stirs in his inner world. I don't want to lose this woman. Because that feeling, that connection, and someone who evokes it are rare. As his emotional intensity grows, so does the instinct to protect it. And he begins to think, I need to take care of this bond. I cannot afford to act in a way that would push her away. Clinical psychologist Dr. Stan Tatkin offers a powerful insight. Loving relationships begin with a safe, emotional space. Sexual patience is part of building that space. This kind of patience isn't performative. It's not a mask. A man who truly cares respects your pace. And he says, maybe not out loud, but clearly through his actions. There's no rush. It will happen when you're ready, because what matters is not sex, is you.
Don't forget to subscribe.
That single statement becomes a turning point. In the male mind, where the desire for connection is often buried under layers of conditioning, this is when it rises to the surface as a conscious choice. And that choice is this: I want to show up for this woman. I want to earn her trust. So if you find yourself in the presence of a man who treats your readiness as sacred and never tries to override it, know this: he's not just investing in you, he's also growing through the relationship. This isn't just the beginning of love, it's the moment it starts to deepen, okay? 3, he drops the mask. If he can be silly with you, he's opening his heart. If you're with a man who laughs with you, gets silly with you, acts a little childish at times, even to the point of being playfully ridiculous, pause and pay attention. Because what might seem like lighthearted fun is often a signal of something much deeper. A man who is beginning to form a true emotional bond starts to take off the mask he wears in the outside world. That stoic, reserved, disciplined version of him begins to fade, and in its place, a softer, goofier, more playful version appears. And this shift is no accident. In love, the brain isn't fueled solely by pleasure. It thrives on safety. If he feels comfortable around you, and even more importantly, if he's willing to feel uncomfortable around you, that's a powerful sign of connection. Maybe he makes a dumb joke just to make you laugh. Maybe he joins in on your clumsiness, your quirks. Maybe he lets go of image and just plays. These are not just funny moments. They're entry points into his inner world, the moments when identity defenses drop and real intimacy begins. Psychotherapist Esther Perel puts it beautifully. True intimacy begins where masks fall, and often those masks fall most naturally in moments of shared play. This isn't immaturity, it's emotional nakedness, because he's no longer trying to appear perfect. Instead, an inner voice starts to speak. I'm on the same wavelength with this woman. I want to be loved as this version of me. That example you shared about this serious, structured guy in finance who transformed completely when he was with the woman he loved, that speaks volumes. His shift wasn't a performance. It was the softening of the heart. And often, this change happens quietly. One day you see him go from speaking in polished sentences to making silly faces with you in a selfie, because in love, silliness becomes a secret language. And that tells you something vital. This man feels safe enough to let his inner child surface. He becomes not just your partner in life, but your partner in play. This isn't a fleeting spark. It's the foundation of real emotional closeness. Because the strongest bonds are built between two adults who aren't afraid to be childlike together. So remember, if a man can be with you without the mask, without the filter, without the need to impress, he's not just choosing you, he's also choosing his own emotional freedom with you. And that is love in its most natural form. For if he's leaving his comfort zone for you, he's already living with you in mind. Real emotions change people, and the ones who notice it first are almost always the people closest to them. Friends start saying things like, "We've never seen him go to that kind of place before. This is the first time he's ever listened to music like that. He would never do that for anyone." These are some of the clearest signs of love, signs that are often more visible from the outside than from within, because the people who know him best can spot when he's becoming someone new. If a man begins doing things he once swore he would never do, and he's doing them for you, pay attention. This isn't a tactic, okay? It's not about impressing you, and it's more than just adapting to your interests. This is a natural shift that comes from within. He's not abandoning who he is. He's building new parts of himself that are shaped by how he feels about you. And that kind of change isn't a sacrifice. It's a transformation fueled by feeling, right? Psychiatrist Dr. Scott Peck once said, "Love is the willingness to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's growth." In other words, when someone truly cares, they redraw the map of their life to include the person they love. And they do it willingly. Not because they're being asked to, but because they want to. For many men, this is not easy. They often cling to familiar routines, hobbies, even social circles. Anything that maintains a sense of control and stability. That's why phrases like "this is just who I am" are so common. But when a man starts forming an emotional bond, those rigid structures begin to soften. Okay? The "I would never"less starts to disappear. He goes to new places, tries new things, listens to new music, not because he suddenly developed new tastes, but because you matter.
Don't forget to subscribe.
And most importantly, This shift is not about accommodation. It's about alignment. He's not just trying to match your rhythm. He wants to move with you. Because in his mind, it's no longer just his world. It's yours together. Some changes only happen when love runs deep. So if even his closest friends are saying he's not the same guy anymore, chances are you're the reason why. Falling in love often means being willing to fall out of your comfort zone. And when he's doing that for you, he's not just interested, he's invested. 5. If he defends you in every situation, he sees you as a part of himself. When a man truly starts falling in love, it goes beyond forming an emotional connection, okay? A deep, instinctual sense of protection and care begins to emerge. This isn't about jealousy or control. It's about responsibility. Your well-being becomes directly tied to his inner peace. And because of that, he starts to shield you, to stand by you, to show up when it matters. This protective instinct isn't limited to the physical. It shows up emotionally and socially too. If someone makes a passive-aggressive comment in front of others, his tone shifts. If someone tries to belittle you, even subtly, he steps in without hesitation. But sometimes the most powerful form of protection is quiet. He simply notices. If you're anxious, he stays present. Not with interrogation, but with presence. Not what's wrong, but I'm here. Psychologist Dr. John Gottman puts it this way. A man's instinct to protect a woman he's bonded to isn't evolutionary. It's emotional. In other words, a man protects not just who he feels safe with, but who he deeply values. This is where the concept of belonging comes in. If he's protecting you, it's because he feels you belong with him. Not in the possessive sense, but in the connected, shared life sense. You are part of me now. If you're hurt, I'm not whole. That's why he starts to care deeply about your plans. He begins to ask, how did your day go? What's coming up this week? How did that meeting turn out? Because your life has become part of his. He's no longer thinking in terms of you and me, but us. And here's the subtle truth. By protecting you, he's also protecting his own emotional balance. You've become the most meaningful investment in his inner world. If something hurts you, it affects him. So he offers help. Not to take control, but to be informed. Not to dominate, but to support. Actually, at this point, he's not just your partner. He's someone who sees you as his emotional responsibility. For him, love is no longer just a feeling. It has become a duty, okay? But here's a different story, one that plays out more often than we talk about. Sometimes, just because you're deeply attracted to someone, you might find yourself accepting a kind of relationship that doesn't feel right in your gut. On the outside, it looks like a harmless connection, but inside, it's quietly draining you. Because when a relationship is built only on chemistry, it calls to your body, not your heart. And when you bring your heart into the room, but they show up with only desire, the emotional scales tip. Okay? At first, you may not notice it. You might say, I'm just going with the flow, or let's see where this goes. But over time, your hope starts to grow, and eventually, a question starts echoing in your mind. Why aren't we building anything deeper? That's where emotional fatigue sets in. Because the person in front of you was never planning to write a story with you. They were only looking to enjoy the moment. You were seeking meaning. They were just seeking a moment. Okay? And when a passion-driven relationship ends, it often ends without clarity. You may not even understand why. There's no closure. Sometimes you wonder, did I do something wrong? But the truth is, the issue is never about your worth. The issue was that they were never intending to build something meaningful to begin with. You hoped for connection, and in doing so, you may have pushed aside your own emotional boundaries. This can leave you with a quiet, lingering ache. I gave so much. Was this all I got in return? And that pain isn't just about the end of a relationship. It's also about what it does to your self-respect, your sense of value, your inner peace. That's why it's so important. Never settle for a type of relationship your heart doesn't want. Just because you're drawn to someone, because your worth is not measured by how much someone desires you, but by how much they want to truly connect with you. And yes, it's a fair and important question to ask. Is it possible to bring passion into the space of love? Can someone who's chasing thrill eventually form a deeper emotional bond? That's exactly what we'll explore in the next video. How to guide passion into the territory of love. Okay? Thank you for spending this time with me, beautiful soul. The comment section is your space. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to stay connected, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Until we meet again, take good care of yourself.